welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be a little bit different than what I would typically post. So we're going to be talking about some paranormal investigators that everyone knows. I did write notes on this because I wanted to do some research and I had to write notes. So I will be looking down and reading off of my notes a little bit. I just want to say before I begin this video is not intended at all to cause any kind of drama or strife in the paranormal community. This is just something that I've always kind of felt, and I wanted to see if I was correct. So I did some research, looked it up, and everything that I'm going to tell you guys is available. It's public knowledge. So if you use search engines, I used multiple ones. So if you use search engines, you can find this information yourself. So if you disagree with anything I say, please feel free to look it up for yourself. I'm not going to debate or argue anybody in the comments. This is just something I want to share with you guys. So I hope you enjoy this. As always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Also, you can follow me on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. For this episode, we will be discussing Ed and Lorraine Warren. You probably know who they are, but if you don't, I suggest you take a quick minute to go search it. Look it up on a search engine. You'll find out who they are. You could probably find a lot of YouTube videos about them as well. Most of us have seen at least one of the 3 major blockbuster films depicting paranormal cases that Ed and Lorraine Warren helped in. The first movie was released in 2013, and it's titled The Conjuring. I watched it then. I'm sure many of you have watched it. In this film, the Warrens help a family that have been terrorized by a dark presence in their farmhouse in Rhode Island, and it takes place in 1971. This is the story of Carolyn and Roger Perrin, and they uncover this satanic haunting in their farmhouse. So the Warrens called this case one of their most intense cases, one of their most compelling cases, disturbing, and it's one of their most significant investigations of their careers. That's what they have said about it. So the Perrins' farm, it's around 200 acres. So there's plenty of space for their 5 children that they have. I mean, it sounds like a dream, right? 200 acres, you have your kids there. It sounds amazing. I mean, I know as someone who homesteads and has, livestock, I would jump on that at the right price. Like, no questions asked. I would take it. So this property has, like, a very checkered past. The land around it as well. So this checkered past includes 4 men who froze to death on the property. Also includes 2 people who drowned in a stream nearby. There's been suicides, hangings, and a very disturbing and sad case of a girl who was raped and murdered at just 11 years old. So there was an aggressive spirit there. They called her Bathsheba. It is said that Bathsheba practiced witchcraft and Satanism. So Bathsheba actually did exist. There were records of her, they found these records. She was married and she had 4 children. None of her children ever actually lived to be past 4 years old. Her baby was found in a very disturbing way. The skull was impaled. So Bathsheba died May 25th, 1885. And her body did something most bodies don't do. It kind of turned to stone. That's what the coroner had said. So it's just odd, right? So maybe she was practicing something and had like a spell done on herself to where she would turn to stone. I'm not sure. So the spirit of Bathsheba is said to have taunted and haunted Miss Perrin. So by the time the Warrens were notified, they had believed that Bathsheba had actually possessed Miss Perrin. But unlike in the movie, The Conjuring, Ed and Lorraine Warren were never successful in getting rid of that spirit that was tormenting the Perron family. So in the movie, it shows them helping them and getting rid of the spirit, saving the day. They never did that. That part's not true. And this is in Carolyn Perron's own words. This is a quote from her. She said, and this is about the activity in the house, and I quote, "got worse around them." And once the Perrons realized that the Warrens were actually making these hauntings worse in their home, the husband, Roger Perron, actually made Ed and Lorraine Warren leave his property for good. He didn't want him coming back. So, that's not portrayed in the movies, right? They made us believe that it was all based on actual events, which there was an actual haunting. But they didn't save the day. That was all fabricated. The family was unable to leave at the moment because of financial situations, and we all know how that can take a toll on a family. So they were actually staying there, been tortured by these spirits until 1980. So that's a really long time. And then they actually could afford to move. So they left and went all the way to Georgia. So my question is this: why did the activity actually get worse around Lorraine and Ed? Were they bringing things there? Were they doing something to ramp up the activity? Were they causing this? Why did they not help? Why did they not find somebody to help them once they knew they could not help? And they did not send anyone to help. They just kind of left. They left it. As a medium and a paranormal investigator, I would never do that to someone. There may be people who wouldn't know how to help, but could you not find somebody to help? Could you not let them know that that's above what you could do? You don't let somebody get tortured for 9 years and just up and leave, right? I mean, that's how I feel about it. This right here is my opinion. So there's one thing we can question. The second movie, The Conjuring 2. So this movie was released in 2016. And I'm going to read you the description that is on the movie itself, like the about section of the movie. It says, in 1977, paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren come out of a self-imposed sabbatical to travel to Enfield, a borough in North London. There they meet Peggy Hodgson, an overwhelmed single mother of 4, who tells the couple that something evil is in her home. Ed and Lorraine believe her story when the youngest daughter starts to show signs of demonic possession. According to Peggy, the mother, these events began on August 30th, 1977, when she laid the children down to bed. The kids' beds began shaking. The family also noted that, just like in the movie, where the crosses all turned upside down in the film, like all over the walls, I'm sure everybody remembers that part. None of that ever happened. She said there was not one cross that went upside down in their home. So that was completely fabricated. Nobody actually levitated. The one of the daughters states that she did levitate, but there were no videos or proof of it. A person close to this family said that it looked like she was like jumping off the bed. So when somebody levitates, they don't go this way and jump. It would be going up. That's what levitation means. I mean, I guess you could be standing up, but you're to levitate. You're not going to be jumping down into the floor. So I don't know if it was a child's imagination or maybe the bed shook and she jumped and she got scared and thought she lifted up. I'm not sure. I mean, it really could have happened, but there were no documentation of it. So the Warrens visited the Enfield home in the summer of 1978. In fact, many other paranormal investigators had and were already at the scene. So many other people that were investigating this had already been there and done an investigation, and there were other investigators currently at that home when they arrived. There's actually one claim that says the Warrens were actually never invited to the Enfield home. No one invited them. They heard about it and just kind of showed up. So one particular investigator says that Mr. Warren, upon his arrival, told him he could make a lot of money off this case. And this is actually from this paranormal investigator's interview on Darkness Radio. So this investigator, this is what he told them. So did anybody actually die in this home? The answer is yes. Bill Wilkins passed from a brain hemorrhage. The family does not credit the Warrens' one-day visit. Yes, one day. They were there during the daytime. They did not stay the night. They did not come back. They were there for a few hours. And they made a whole movie about it that grossed over $300 million. So this family does not credit the Warrens at all for helping them. In fact, they do credit a priest who helped them later in 1978. So once again, we have a situation where the Warrens did not help and made a film about it. They didn't help. And they were only at this location for a day. So the previous location for the Conjuring movie, they actually went, I think, a few times from what I found out. But it was like a few hours, and then it'd be like weeks and weeks later or months later. Then they came back for just a couple hours. So they never spent much time there at either location. So let's examine this for a minute. When we compare the first story with this one, what similarities do we have? So once again, the family says the Warrens did nothing to help them. And in this case, were uninvited and only there for one day. So if Ed claimed he couldn't film evidence because the house was too small, which he did claim this. He said he couldn't film, the house was too small inside. How did they get enough evidence for a movie that grossed over $300 million? So it doesn't add up to me. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, I'll let you decide how you feel about this. I know how I feel because I am giving my opinion as well during this. But it's just kind of, it baffles me how people could lie, potentially fake things, and make bankroll off of it. That's, as a YouTuber and someone who puts out videos, this would be equivalent to me going somewhere for an hour and doing an investigation and then making this huge Hollywood movie and making all these false claims of stuff that didn't happen, not getting permission from families before I talk about them, so and so on. That's something I would never do. I'm just going to put that out there now. So there's another movie as well. They also own the Annabelle Doll, right? So let's take a moment and talk about their museum. The Warrens have an occult museum. It's in Monroe, Connecticut. And this is where they lived. The Warrens opened their museum in 1952, and that's around the same time they founded the New England Society for Psychic Research. So they founded this place, the New England Society for Psychic Research. Okay. I just wanted to, emphasize on that. They kept items, supposedly spirits in them, or demonic spirits. They had a lot of demonic spirits in these items that they claimed. There's a little bit of everything that they kept here. There's things that are cursed. There's demonic items. They even have a tombstone, and they also claim to have a vampire's coffin. So, just what I could find out about this vampire's coffin. They claimed they could not film any evidence, any videos, so they have absolutely nothing to show for this investigation, but they supposedly brought back this vampire's coffin. And absolutely nothing to show for it, other than what they say happened. But there's no evidence at all of this of this thing. It's just they brought back a coffin. So how does that happen? You're not allowed to film. You can't film. You can't do anything. You can't document nothing, no photographs, but you're allowed to bring back his coffin. That doesn't add up either. Now, I'm not saying vampires do not exist, because they absolutely do. But I just don't know how this situation pans out, because it doesn't make sense to me. And let's talk about it. I'm sure you've also heard of Annabelle. Annabelle is said to have caused a man to die. Annabelle is a Raggedy Ann doll, a toy. The movie is a completely different doll than what she really is. So in the movie, yes, that part was fabricated. Obviously, it was made to look scarier, right? So that's fine. We expect that kind of stuff from movies. The Warrens got Annabelle from a case in 1970. A student named Donna, who was the original owner of this Raggedy Ann doll, and she was a nursing student. She received it as a gift for her birthday. Her mom got it for her birthday. I think she was turning 28. Donna and her friends soon noticed the doll would move around, and they would get messages from this doll. The messages were on like wax paper or something like that, and they didn't have any in the apartment, they said. So these messages were handwritten from the doll. They had a medium come in. This medium told Donna that the spirit of a murdered child named Annabelle was the one that was inside the doll haunting their apartment. So this family called a priest, who called a priest, who called a priest. And eventually, the Warrens were involved. Now, I'm going to read you an actual quote, word by word, of what Lorraine Warren said about this doll, Annabelle. Spirits do not possess inanimate objects, like houses or toys. They possess people. An inhuman spirit can attach itself to a place or object, and this is what occurred in the Annabelle case. This spirit manipulated the doll and created the illusion of it being alive in order to get recognition. Truly, the spirit was not looking to stay attached to the doll. It was looking to possess a human host. He first starts off saying, She starts off by saying spirits do not possess inanimate objects, like houses or toys. Then she says, in the next breath, an inhuman spirit can attach itself to a place or object. So if she says spirits, I know we're talking about spirits and inhuman spirits, which would be demons, right? Not all inhuman spirits are demons. It's just ones that were never human. That's a whole nother story. If she says spirits, and this is like human spirits, do not possess inanimate objects like houses or toys. But she says an inhuman spirit would possess a house. I've never known of a demon to just want to possess the whole home. So do they want to possess a house or not? She says they do in one sentence, they don't in the next. I myself, as a medium, I absolutely know that spirits, human spirits, can attach. Now, I'm not talking about possess, attach to dolls. They can attach to jewelry. They can attach to mirrors. They can attach to a photo, a carousel, an object, a toy, whatever it might be, a Christmas ornament, whatever they love. It doesn't even have to be their item. It could just be something that they see and attach to. A lot of us in the paranormal community understand and know this to be fact. Nobody can tell us otherwise because we know it's a fact. That's just how it is. And I will add, and this will be used later, that when a spirit is attached to an item, let's say a doll, I have one. Her name is Hattie. She does not stay inside the doll. I can go somewhere and her doll stays home and she's still with me. I can still see her. I can still hear her. With that being said, I'm assuming it's the same for Annabelle. Basically, when the Warrens arrived, they noted prior events that took place before they ever got there or witnessed. So they did not witness these events. This includes notes from the doll, Lou's clawed chest, and the doll moving. And like I said, the Warrens did not witness any of this. They just took their word for it. They did not do an investigation to where they got evidence. If Ed and Lorraine are claiming to be paranormal researchers who have founded a paranormal psychic research place, why would they not get any evidence for themselves of this happening? Why would they not collect data? Why would they not research this? They have absolutely nothing to go by. Lorraine took the doll. She wanted to take her with her. She also ordered the priest who contacted her to exorcise the home. So Lorraine asked this priest to do an exorcism on the home, which did happen. And then she took the doll. So if there is a demonic spirit in Annabelle, why would you do an exorcism on the home? If that demonic spirit is inside of the doll, and she's not leaving, according to them, she's in there, the home would be fine without the doll there. There is no reason to do an exorcism on the house itself if you're taking the doll out. It makes zero sense to me. It's like them giving busy work to get everybody's mind off of them taking the doll. I don't know. So let's go back to her statement about the doll, where she said, spirits will not attach to a house or toy. Why did she take Annabelle and order an exorcism of the home? I don't get it. If the demon was inside of Annabelle and not the home, why was Annabelle not given an exorcism? Why was this demon allowed to stay inside of Annabelle? The Warrens claim the doll caused them to have partially failed brakes on their drive home with her. They said they had her buckled in the back seat. None of these events were ever recorded or documented other than what they said. They also claimed that once they got this doll home, that she would levitate and move around the house. So if you're truly bringing home a haunted doll with a demon inside of it, why are you just going to let it hang out in the living room and let it move around the house for a while? Like, do you see where I'm getting at? That this story does not add up at all. So let's continue again. Here are some of my questions I have, and I'll ask you guys this as well. Why did Ed and Lorraine collect items from haunted places, but yet never cross over any of these spirits, nor have exorcisms done on any of the spirits, never had exorcisms done on their home or themselves? They collected demons. They were collecting items with demons, possessed items. Do you truly believe, with hundreds of items in their home and in their basement, that they were safe all the time? That all these demons just stayed in their little items, stayed in their chest, in their dolls, in their objects, and just decided to never come out and bother them? Do you think all of these demons would have gotten along with one another? Do you think that they would have never possessed Ed or Lorraine? Do you think these demons would never scratch them, make them depressed, sick, ill, injuries? It didn't happen. Like, they never had depression from it. They never had possession. They never had demons manifest in them. And so how are you going to have hundreds of demons in your basement and all through your house? And you're going to go to sleep at night and you're not having nightmares. You're not scared. Doors aren't closing by themselves. I want to know your opinions on this, so leave it in the comments. Now, here's where my opinion will come in. And as a physical medium, I feel that my opinion is completely valid, as with anyone else's opinion. I truly believe that the Warrens were into the darker side of the paranormal. They obviously were known to make hauntings worse, and that is documented. That is fact. So they were known to make them worse, not better. Were the places haunted? Or did they bring something there? Did they conjure something up while they were there? Or before they got there to make it haunted? Did they bring other spirits into these homes to terrorize these families? We'll never know the answer to that. In the beginning, Ed would sketch homes, and then he'd go knock on the doors of these people, and if they answered, he would show them the sketch of their home. And then once he started talking to them, that's when he and Lorraine would say, oh, and by the way, your house is haunted, or there's a demon in your house. And that's how they got into people's homes in the beginning, before they were, more popularly known. So, who does that? Who would go to somebody's house and try to weasel their way in and tell them their house is haunted? So, the Warrens did profit from families. They absolutely profited monetary value from these families, from these cases they went on, and from the movies. The Exorcist was from a case they did. Amityville Horror was from a case they did. So they are making a lot of money off of turning everything they see or hear into a movie. Also fabricating things. So I'm almost finished with this video, but before I finish this, I wanted to also share a little bit more info. Something some of you may not be ready for. I know personally I was shocked when I uncovered this information, and I did not know this previously, but I found this on multiple websites, multiple search engines, and this is a fact. So when Ed was in his 30s, he met and groomed a 15-year-old child. He had a sexual relationship with her. Lorraine knew about it. Lorraine and Ed allowed this girl to move into their home. Some people, they would tell she was a runaway or that she just needed help. She lived with them for 40 years. This lady continued her relationship with Ed until the 2000s. At one point, a concerned neighbor reported the abuse, and Lorraine had the girl sent to a rehabilitation center. They kind of turned it around on this girl, which is absolutely insane to me. Like, she was playing the victim when there really was a victim. But when she was going to this rehabilitation center, Ed was driving her there and back to his house. So, go figure. It's even stated by this woman that she actually became pregnant with Ed's child once, but she was made to receive an abortion. Lorraine requested an abortion, and she did. So, what this woman claims is that she was told that either you say that you were raped by someone else and became pregnant, or you have an abortion. Her and Ed continued this romantic relationship the entire time she lived with him. She also claims that Ed and Lorraine would physically fight each other, like they had an argumentative relationship. I think I read that she stated that at times she thought they were going to kill each other. I'm choosing not to give her name, which is public information, but I encourage every one of you who may have doubts or you just want to see it for yourself, to go search this information and find it and read it. Spend a little time and do the homework if you're interested. Ed passed in 2006 and Lorraine passed in 2019. My hopes with this information is that today you learned something new. Maybe that this makes you question things you thought you knew already, or things that you thought were accurate. My intentions with this was not to criticize the Warrens, but to find out what is real and what's the truth. And I think we all need to do that with every aspect of our lives. I've always had my doubts about the Warrens, mainly because they collected demons and nothing ever happened to them. And some of the things they had said contradicted what I knew to be true as well. So I did learn a lot of new things by doing this research. I hope you learn new things as well. My opinion at the end of all this is that I do believe Lorraine was a medium. Absolutely. I'm not going to question her abilities. And I'm not going to judge her on that. I do believe, however, they began their career in the paranormal field very innocently. I believe they had great intentions when they first began. I also believe they fell prey to the darker side. The lies, the money, the fame, the attention. That took over, and that was all she wrote on that, in my opinion. I do not feel anything for Mr. Warren. What he did to a child is unforgivable to me. There is never an excuse for abuse, ever. I believe the victim. Thank you all for sticking with me this long, and I hope you did enjoy this video. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel if you're not already. And also, I just want to reiterate once again that all of the information that I presented to you is available on search engines. I used multiple search engines, and it's available online. You can do some research and, find this out for yourself. You can comment below. And once again, negative comments are not going to be tolerated. They will be removed. We're not doing that here. We're not doing drama. I did not create this to cause drama. I created this to bring awareness because people idolize the Warrens like I once did. And, sometimes we can't judge a book by the cover, right? You see what Hollywood shows you, and we believe it, right? We shouldn't believe everything we see. And this is a perfect example of that. Thanks for watching, guys.